What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another video. It's your boy Deep Rhythm, and we're back with another video. And today, we got a special video today, man, and we want to really just discuss a few things, right? You know what I'm saying? In this video in particular, before, go check out my channel on Deep Art, because I'm going to have another video, you know, for y'all youngins, and it's specifically regarding confidence, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm going to be blunt and real, right? Confidence is the most important thing coming into this new age, because the way development is happening now, especially for those training, you know what I'm saying, whether you're training from or listening to someone on YouTube and going by their training, getting it in, or you going to a professional event, you know what I'm saying, at age 18, 19 years old, you know what I'm saying, you going to a professional event and you working with guys and you getting yourself right and you soaking up the environment, and you getting better within that environment of older, you know what I'm saying, older players, older folks, right? The most important thing I say to have in the environment when you get off the environment is confidence. You know what I'm saying? I quickly want to go into this and just say this, right? Confidence is the most important thing, especially when you get out of that environment, you know, that high stake environment, you know what I'm saying? Those, you know, in periods, like when you get out of those environments, the most important thing to have is confidence, and, you know what I'm saying, the ability to analyze, engage, like, you know what I'm saying? How can I take the work that I put in, right? And how can I continually assist myself in getting better? You know what I'm saying? How can I adjust my systems to fit, you know what I'm saying, whatever space I'm in, right? You know what I'm saying? And beyond that point, right, I wanted to say that real fast. You know, confidence is the most important thing in just what you do, especially at a younger age, when you're like 18, 19, and you get into a new environment, right? Because there's two ways to go about it, right? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you could be, it's knowing when to be humble and knowing when to soak up information and knowledge, and knowing when it's time to actually blow shit up. You know what I'm saying? Put bluntly. So, as a basketball player, right, there's times, you know, especially when you looking up, right, as a youngin', right, you look up to certain players, right, you look up to certain environments, people, coaches, whatever, and you go through the system, you soak up the knowledge, the insight, you know what I'm saying, things like that. But you know, when you're not in that environment to really soak up knowledge, it's important to understand, like, you know, when it's time to really just kick it to the second gear and just be able to utilize the information that you learn. You know what I'm saying? There's time to soak in knowledge and be that, and there's time to utilize the information that you learn within whatever type of space that you're in, regardless of what environment that you're in, because now you're controlling what you put in your system and what you know what I'm saying, you're controlling what you put in and what you don't put in, right? You know what I'm saying? You're controlling what you put in and what you put out, you know? And that's the important thing to understand as a player, right? Especially as a youngin', right? You know what I'm saying? Controlling what you put in and controlling what you put out. Because, you know, you might just be at a stage of one of these things that you put out, you know what I'm saying, could be the distinguishing or definitive factor in terms of your performance and you being able to scale yourself up to the next level, you know what I'm saying, at a given time, right? As your ability to put out things that you know what I'm saying, doesn't necessarily don't need or don't require, right? So that's the important thing that I wanted to really emphasize on. But go check out Deep Art. I'm definitely going to speak on that more. But in this video, what I really want to talk about specifically is, you know, it's the grit, right? It's the grit and the grind, right? Because when you get into them competitive environments, man, this stuff takes so much more force and energy than you would, you know what I'm saying? Than a lot of, and then what you think, right? When you get into really grit and grind areas, like I've been to an event in Phoenix, you know what I'm saying? And it was an event, it was a professional event, but it was only like 11 players, you know what I'm saying? It wasn't like it was 50, it wasn't like it was like 20 to 20, you know what I'm saying? It wasn't a vast amount of people, man. The difference between when you're playing at an event like with that little amount of people is the intensity level is much more compact, and you really get to see the competitive level of what this really is. You know what I'm saying? And you know what I'm saying? That's what I saw, and that's what I was able to really get an experience, like how much force and energy really goes into this stuff, right? I was blessed enough to be able to experience that. So it's important to understand, you know what I'm saying, like the force and the energy required to really play in this game, and you know what I'm saying, and at these levels is, you know what I'm saying, incredibly intense, right? So it's like there's no slacking around. Like it's almost like you're really trying to kill the other two dudes with a basketball. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? That's really what it is. You know what I'm saying? But it's all technical, right? Is you're putting all the force that you have into the technicalities of the game. And like I said in my other video, you know, when you start to playing like this at this high level, you know what I'm saying, it no longer becomes about you being able to just score the ball at will, or you being able to you know what I'm saying, do what you want with the ball, right? Because it's not necessarily gonna go like that. It's not gonna happen that way, right? In a competitive environment like that, you're gonna have to be able to. The only way to be able to really score and to be able to do much, is to be able to run actions, right, and run them to perfection. You know what I'm saying? And that's what's gonna be the important thing to really note and understand. Like, is when you get into a high intense environment, like say the G League, for instance. You know what I'm saying? It's about two things, right? One, the amount of force and how strongly and powerfully you can train your functions, right? Your one dribble pull up, your two dribble pull up, and you know what I'm saying, these sorts of things, you know, and including all of the other factors around it. But the other thing is your ability to run actions. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I really wanted to note. It's how well are you learning the game and the technicalities of the game, and how well are you even watching film and understanding the game to where you understand how to run an action to perfection, but then you also know how to, you know what I'm saying, even when the defense switches it up, you can run the same action, you know what I'm saying, and still get it to work. You know what I'm saying? Basically just creating a different variation of the same action. You know what I'm saying? For instance, like passing the ball to the corner, you know what I'm saying, in order to get it to the big instead of you just throwing it right in. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like a game of chess. You know what I'm saying? You get the same result, but you with a different move, right? Move in different pieces. So that's important. That's the important thing, and that's the nature of, you know, when you run in an offense, like, because basketball has two different forms to it. You know what I'm saying? It's like you could be running an offense, like you could be just playing pickup ball, or you could just be trying to score a will, or just, you know what I'm saying, just having fun doing you, or you could just be, you know what I'm saying, in an environment where you just, you know, you run the actions. You know what I'm saying? And it's like your ability to run these actions to perfection. You know what I'm saying? And being able to you know what I'm saying, continually get the same result from these actions, and just being able to pass the ball right, you know what I'm saying, and be able to cut sharply, you know what I'm saying, off a defender at the right time, you know what I'm saying, in order to get you an easy layup, and then being able to jump as soon as you catch the ball and, you know what I'm saying, do what you do. And it's the precision of these little things, you know what I'm saying, that really makes the difference. You know, how you train your toe, you know what I'm saying, your explosiveness off your toes, or your dorsiflexion, you know, being able to train your jump shot and being able to stay on balance when you catch the ball off a catch and shoot, you know what I'm saying, off of running off a screen, you know what I'm saying. And it's this like court speed and mobility, and being able to fire off a catch and shoot from any type of you know what I'm saying, any type of space or any type of balance, you know what I'm saying, or position. Now we're working with some serious game knowledge, you know what I'm saying, and some real fierceness. You see what I'm saying? So that's, you know what I'm saying, now we're working with something, right? So that's what we really want to, you know, touch on and discuss. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's levels to this. Like, there's levels to the game. And, you know, you just have to know both sides of the game. You know what I'm saying? You got to know both sides of the game, whether it's, you know, you just being on the basketball court and just, you know what I'm saying, playing for fun. You know, how well can you really dribble, cross somebody up, do what you do to them, you know what I'm saying, and score on them, right? How many moves you got in the bag for real? Like how deep is your bag? You know what I'm saying? You You know what I'm saying? For real. Like, you know what I'm saying? That sort of thing, right? But then it's also everything I just said, you know what I'm saying? And it's really techniques and just like how much balance do you have in the dorsiflexion to really just explode off of it as soon as you catch the ball in for a layup or a dunk. And how good is your balance off of court mobility or speed, you know, to be able to catch the ball in any type of position you in and just be able to fire that joint up for a catch and shoot 3, you know what I'm saying? Or 2. And then, or is it like how good is your ability to pass the ball at different points, right? You know what I'm saying? In order to still get the ball to whomever you're trying to get it to, you know what I'm saying, and then still be effective, you know what I'm saying? Or it could be even just you know what I'm saying, your ability like to understand who to get the ball to in order to be able to continue running the same action. You know what I'm saying, without having you know what I'm saying, still get it to work, right? And still get the same result. So it's all these different things, you know what I'm saying, that are very important. And another little thing, like how good is your court speed, mobility, and rhythm, you know what I'm saying, on the basketball court for you to be able to focus intently on just the game and the flows and changes of the game. That way you can just be able to implement the right strategy or the right counter at the right time. You know what I'm saying? Your ability to change direction. From a defensive stance out of a defensive stance, right? From a ladder to from a sort of court speed that's lateral to a court speed that's now transitioning north south. Ability to come out of these sort of things, right? And even your ability to pop out of a screen, you know what I'm saying? The sharper you're able to pop out of a screen, the easier and more, you know, the easier it is for you to disorient your defender and be able to like rise up for a catch and shoot or get into some sort of jab, dribble, triple threat move, you know what I'm saying? And it's little things like this, you know what I'm saying, that'll really make that difference. And the harder you can train these little things, you know what I'm saying, the easier it'll be for you to be able to be most effective, you know, playing at this level, you know what I'm saying? Because now, if you have this stuff consciously trained and solid, you know what I'm saying? Because these are all time under tension technical functions. So you train these time under tensions, you can really just forget about it. It's a closed loop command. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to worry about it. And when these things are trained in and built in you, you know, now your focus can become more centered around the game and the changes and flows of the game, right? And the different type of adjustments you need to make in the game and the counters that you sort of want to implement, right? And even like when it's time to, you know, run up play, you know what I'm saying? Like your IQ level is focused more intently on, you know what I'm saying, the whatever play that you gotta run. You know what I'm saying? It clears up a lot of mental space when you have all the types of you know, everything else that you need to all the closed loop functions train. You know what I'm saying? It clears up that much more mental space for you to be able to focus on all of the things that you need to focus on in the game. So that's the important thing right there. Like, you know what I'm saying, depending on how defense is playing you, depending on, you know what I'm saying, your teammates, you know what I'm saying, getting them in proper position. If you play for them a while, it's different. But if it's your first time playing with them, you know what I'm saying, it's not. So it's like, you know, all these sorts of things, you know, and then being able to, most importantly, make the changes that you need to make and how you executed action, you know what I'm saying, off of how the defense is playing you. That's the most important thing. All right, that's number one on the list, right? Number one on the list is how a defense is playing. You know, is in terms of when you train all your closed loop commands and closed loop functions, your number one focus priority should then be, like I said, is what adjustments you need to make depending on the actions, or, you know what I'm saying, and you know, saying and the steps that the defense takes, right? If they step, you know, if they step a certain way or cover hard on a certain way, my next focus is the adjustment that I need to make in order for me to be able to, you know what I'm saying, still get that action off, right? You know what I'm saying? That's my first look. And obviously, if I can't do that, I'm I'm gonna move on. Right? I'm probably gonna kick it out somewhere else, right? Or try something else. You know what I'm saying? But the game has got to be that conscious. It's got to be that intentional, and that's how you really get to that level or play at that next level. So that's the important thing to understand. That's what we really wanted to go over. Like, for instance, in terms of the game, it's all about that. You know what I'm saying? It's about keeping the game simple. You know what I'm saying? Keeping the game simple. Because it is, the complication of the game comes from the closed loop commands that you function or that you train. You know what I'm saying? But the game itself is simple, and therefore it should stay simple. You know what I'm saying? So it's whatever you want to do to your game. You know what I'm saying? Whatever type of creativity you want to add to it, or whatever you want to, whatever you want your game to look like, you train. But at the end of the day, the actions are simple, and they're the same thing every single time. You know what I'm saying? It's run the action, and run the action to perfection with strength, with force, and then depending on what the defense wants to do, let them dictate how this is going to go. You know what I'm saying? Depending on what they do is going to dictate how this is going to go. You know what I'm saying? And how I get the ball to this big, or whoever I'm trying to get the ball to, right? Or whoever the play is for. So that's the important thing to really note. You know what I'm saying, is let the defense dictate that, you know what I'm saying, because we're playing defense on offense. You know what I'm saying? That's really what it is. Like, offense is really just defense, but on offense. You know what I'm saying? You play off the defender and what the defender gives you or what the defender does, you know what I'm saying? And you just react off of them. And what they do dictates, you know what I'm saying, how we get the ball in here, how we get the ball over there, or what type of counter maneuver that we make. You know what I'm saying? And that goes even at the highest level. You know what I'm saying? So when you train your plays and you train your actions, that you run, whether it be systematic actions or whether it just be your own position or personal actions, right, that you train and develop in your game. Now, when you get on the basketball court at that really high level, the most important thing is about, you know what I'm saying, not necessarily just the action itself, but more importantly is how that action reciprocates itself on the court, depending on what the defense does. Almost like shooting. Like, anytime you get the ball and you shoot the ball, it's never even about the jump shot, you know what I'm saying, or having correct technique and correct form. It's about how your jump shot adjusts and your adjustments depending on how you catch the ball. You know what I'm saying? And it's the same thing with implementing and running an offense. You know what I'm saying? Running actions on an offense. You know what I'm saying? It's the same way. Depending on how the defense sets up is going to dictate how this action is carried out. You know what I'm saying? And if I can train the action itself to be clear and concise and as, perfect as possible, or as thorough as possible, then it makes it that much easier to be able to make the adjustments that I need to make in game. You know what I'm saying? And that's the basic idea of, you know what I'm saying, getting the skill set and fundamental and the functions of training in action.